Welcome to Mental Reset, the home of open and honest conversations about men's mental health. One of our biggest strengths is to be able to share lived experience. Something that you've gone through might be just what someone else needs, and it might be their survival guide. On this show, we aim to bring on guests and have them share their experiences with us, and hopefully that might help some people out there. So today, we've got our very first guest onto the show, and it's Jordan Black. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's an honour to be the first guest in what I think is going to be a brilliant resource for men across the country. So I'm really flattered and honoured to be here.
Well, we hope so. And you know what? It just felt so right having you on as the first guest. And I'll share me and Jordan have got a bit of history. So I used to work with his wife, Kath, and we met in Ibiza. And I had my first MMA fight, and Jordan had qualified as a barber. So my first MMA fight, I took myself out of the way, and in this little dingy hotel room somewhere.
It was pretty grim.
It was grim. I picked it to be grim on purpose. And he came round to shave my head before my first fight. And I don't know, I just had a lot of respect for him. I liked him. And he'll tell you more about his kind of working career as to why I put, he was a man, right? He was a man. He's done more manly things than I ever have.
Not that it looks at it. No.
And he shaved my head and he looked me in the eye and he went, you're going to be all right, you know. And he meant the fight. He went the MMA fight, but I was going through a really difficult time at that point.
Okay.
And I took it to be like in life, like it's a moment I remember now. Just looked me, you know, when someone just looks you dead in the eye and it like just cuts into your soul and they say something, you're like, I believe you. I believe that I'm going to be all right. So that's where we kind of engaged. And 10 years later, fast forward, I've taught at a construction company, Alliance Groundworks and Civils Limited. They've done great things with regards to mental health first aid. And I've got this little pat on the shoulder like that. You're all right, mate. And you know, when your brain just goes, I can't work out what's going on. And that's where we reconnected. And yeah, it's great to have you on. Tell us a bit about your working career, because you've fulfilled some roles. As I said, where I'm like, wow, he's a man. He's a geezer. He's done things that I'm like, oh.
I describe myself as recession proof. I've literally done everything that you can do. And so there was a recession. There's bound to be something that I can still earn money doing. But at 16, I joined the army. I'm from a relatively rough part of East London. There wasn't really anything for me moving forward. My dad was ex-military, and I decided, to get out of London. I'll join the military and just see how it goes. I wasn't necessarily a naughty kid in school. I was disruptive in that I always wanted to know why, that we were getting taught anything, or there's a rule in maths and E equals M squared plus C squared, except for when, and I would always question like why. I didn't really see myself going to college, and if I'm honest, I didn't think university was an option because I was from a poor family, and I thought that you had to have a little bit of money to be able to do that. The army seemed like the sensible option. Obviously, follow my dad's footpath. So I moved up to Harrogate when I was 16 years old. I was 16 and I have 4 days less than a month, so 16 and 27 days when I joined.
16.
And I'm 37 now. I'd like to think I don't look 37, although I'm quite tired today.
No wonder, mate.
But
22.
20, something like that. But when I was 16, my God, I looked about 12, literally looked like really, really young, really slim, skinny, scrawny boy. I joined the army, did a year's basic training in Harrogate, and then moved on to trade training. It was a condition that my mum and dad said I had to fulfill in order to be able to join, because they had to sign to say that I could.
Okay.
So they said you can join as long as you get a trade. So I went into communications, and I had a great career, to be fair. It was really, really enjoyable. I was the youngest sergeant when I got promoted to sergeant in the corps of like 90,000 people, which was pretty thing I'm quite proud of. I've deployed to Afghanistan, Iraq, East Africa, the Falkland Islands, Oman, Kuwait, Australia, America, all of Europe. I've literally been all over the world, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I learned so much, and I'm not fatherless per se. My dad split up quite early on in my life, and although he was like a fleeting member of my family, I felt like I became a man in the army. I was, my peers and the corporals when I was going through training, they were my I wouldn't say idols, but they were kind of my guide.
Yeah.
They were my
Yeah.
lead. This is what a man is. This is what we do, and this is how you present yourself. And I think if it wasn't for that, I definitely wouldn't be the man that I am today. And you just become, now at 37, meeting 18, because I was 18 when I went to Afghan. I was 18. I deployed on September the 4th, and I was 18 on August the 8th. So for a week when I arrived in Afghanistan, I was the youngest British soldier on the ground, which was...
Can't even imagine, like 16 in, 18 first tour.
literally.
Like, I don't think I was responsible for looking after me till I was like 21, 22, let alone you've gone out there at age youngest. Like, you can see why, you know, I had this respect for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, a cage fight is a cage fight, right? I'm going to go into a cage. I'm safe. My life's safe. I'm not getting knocked out or worse than, you know, make myself look silly. But like when someone's done those kind of things, and when he looked me in the eye and said, "You're going to be all right," I was like, "I believe you. I believe you. Tell me whatever you want because I'm listening. You've got my attention."
I mean, it's obviously a very good career path. It gains the respect. There's a lot of, I think there's a lot of people that do respect it, like, you know, obviously you
100%.
and you, but there's a lot of people that don't really understand what you actually sacrifice to be a member of the British Army. And not everybody goes on tours, and not everybody has an important role, or not, you know, there's so many different aspects to it. But in general, I mean, you are deploying to a place of conflict, and that is pretty serious.
I think it's so important. I mean, work in the armed forces it's you've got such a clear purpose and drive to do something so impactful, so important, and I feel like that kind of purpose is missing in day-to-day life, you know, or can be missing. So, you know, complete respect for anyone in the forces.
Totally.
It's still a really good community when you leave as well. The veterans. It's so strange now to say that I'm a veteran, and to be fair, at my age now, it feels more poignant than when I left. What am I now? 37. I left around about 10 years ago now, actually. I now feel like I'm at the age where it sounds normal to say veteran. We have like this community feel, and once a year we go back. I was in the parachute part of the Royal Signal, so 216 Parachute Signal Squadron. Every year we'd go back to our motherland, which is the place where we deployed on operations in the World Wars. And all of the veterans from all of the eras would go, and the squadron still serving would put it on as a fete and stuff like that. And you'd go and sit around the table with World War I and II vets, Northern Ireland vets, Falkland vets, and you as an Afghan Iraq vet, and you'd share stories, and it was like the most amazing experience, because for us, like, you know, you've got the utmost respect for me, as you say, for going to Afghan. But when you've been to Afghan and you speak to somebody who's been on the beaches of Normandy, you're like, oh my God, you are a different level of brave, completely different.
A lot of respect.
I'd imagine they had it really rough. They had it really, really rough.
That's the respect thing, right? You know, people are willing to show up to protect us for the freedom we've got. You know, I can't even imagine what you've gone through, face. I'm never even going to pretend. Like, people have shared stuff with me over the years, but, you know, just leaving your family, going out there, putting yourself in situations that, you know, maybe as a human being we're not supposed to put ourselves in. How do you do some of that and then process it as a human being? So it's that the respect comes from that. You know, what an amazing person that's willing to do that for others, to give their time.
I think there's a lot of differences in how people kind of disattach from it. I mean, I wasn't frontline. That wasn't my job role. My job role was communication, so I wouldn't take anything away from the lads who are frontline, bayonet fitted fighting. You know, got into some situations where your life's in danger, but it's a completely different role to the lads on the front line. However, saying that, I completely disattach myself from any experience out there, because the landscape in the UK is so dissimilar to it. Like, I'm not in the desert. There isn't mud huts. Like, there's tarmac and houses and people and buses, and it's a completely different world almost.
It almost feels like another life.
So it's like I don't even relate the two things, and I can completely disattach myself from that.
Separate the two.
Because it's not a reality that I live now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. And I'm assuming, you know, when you're in at 16, 18, the mental health wasn't a conversation then, because we're here in the forces and frontline work now. Like, mental health is a conversation. Right? We've got to support thoughts, feelings, emotions, behaviors, but back then it wasn't something we were talking about as a whole, let alone something that was recognised and supported in the armed forces.
But actually, something quite when you come back from Afghan, you do a thing called decompression. So you come on decompression, and what they do is they fly you over to Cyprus, to one of the British camps in Cyprus. They give you 2 beers per person on the flight to get your juices flowing.
Yeah.
We were on a flight with a Gurkha regiment who a lot of them
Wow.
don't drink. So all of a sudden, 2 beers. Bearing in mind I'm only 18 now. I've only been legal to drink for the tour, so 6 months. The 6 months that I was away. So I was drunk. Then you land in Cyprus, and they put you in, and there's a comedian on, but you become so narrow-minded and fixated on your unit that when they fly you there and there's another unit, it's like, the fuck are these?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's basically a brawl.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's decompression.
Decompression.
This is how we're going to let you decompress and rebalance
Yeah.
and reset. Let's give you some booze. Let's take you over there. You can have a big scrap or a brawl.
And I'm not built for fighting really, but I ended up in a fight, and then there's a padre, and there is they call it trim assessors. They're like assess whether or not you are. It's just another soldier really who's determining whether or not you're okay. And after the fight, I went in front of the padre, who's a priest, a religious man, and this other guy, and they're like, "You're right." I'm like, "Yeah, it's literally just a fight." You know what I mean? It's not that deep. Just had a scrap. He said something to my mate. My mate said something to him. I saw that he was open. I thought I'd just lay it on him, and that was that. And then the funny thing is, then the next day, you will jump on a bus to go down to the beach, and you're on the bus with a bloke that you've just had a fight with.
Yeah.
And it's like, "You all right, mate?" "Yeah, sounds." And then you carry on, and then you fly back to the UK. You might have a week on camp where you go out and get pissed again, and then after that you're free to go home.
And that was it. That was mental health support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's even more bizarre is there's a break within the tour. So you go for 6-7 months, and in between the tour you come out for 2 weeks. You fly home back to your normal life, go out on the piss, see your missus, see your friends, blah blah blah, and then you just fly back. So like literally in the space of 3 days, you've gone from sleeping under the stars in a like Taliban infested area, and then next thing you know, you're back in.
I
in
can't
Yeah.
even like.
That is
How do you
that's
switch
quite
from
strange.
that to that?
Yeah.
How do you see that?
How did you find adapting back to,
That was a really strange one. I just remember I was only 18, and I hadn't actually been legal to go out for more than a month before I left. So it was just kind of like really new to me, and I just went and got drunk for what it was. So it's 2 weeks including the travel day. So for 12 days, I just got drunk and spent loads of money. That was it. And then just went back, and everyone's like, "You're right." You're like, yeah. And then you slot back in and carry on, and that's it.
Wow.
It's quite bizarre.
And if that wasn't enough of a chapter in your
Yeah.
life, you then went on to be a firefighter, right?
Yeah, so I left the army in 2017. I decided I wanted to grow my hair, get tattoos, and travel. So my now wife, then girlfriend, who you mentioned earlier, we were headed for Australia, and on the way we stopped in Dubai. And as Ryan mentioned, I'd done a course. Well, when I was on tour, I used to cut people's hair, so I'd ended a course to enable me to travel and earn some money. And we stopped in Dubai, and someone was like, "Oh, I can get you a job in a barber shop." I'm like, "Really?" Like, "Yeah, why not?" So we stopped there for 2 years. So I did that, had a little dabble in real estate and bits and bobs, and then I came back to the UK, got into recruitment. Was it recruitment first? Training and development first, and then recruitment. And this goes a little bit like what you're saying, is that clear purpose you have in the army. When you come out, where does my skill set actually live in civilian street?
Yeah.
Like I was, like I said, I promoted really well. I was a great leader of men and women. And when you get out, you're like, what does that even mean
How do you put
to
that
a
in
civilian? How do I put that
everyday
into a CV?
Yeah.
And not so much the CV. How do I get in front of people to tell them what I can do?
Mm.
And you don't even really know what role is right for you. So I had a flurry of different ones, and nothing really landed. And then the reason I became a firefighter is so my wife fell pregnant in lockdown with our first child, and sorry, how can I get it away?
That's all right, mate, because I'm going to as well.
Yeah.
And you know what?
It's all right, and it's okay that I'm upset. It's all part
And
of
this
it.
is a thing, we mentioned this on episode before, as men, well, anyone, we start to get upset, we apologise, or might you wouldn't apologise for laughing, then apologise for crying. This is a space where, because I am going to get upset. I'd say, I've got the tissues in my pocket, because that when you share your story before, it just does something to my heart and soul, mate, and the way you've talked about it before, it just...
And I'm absolutely okay with getting upset, because it's it's like you say, it's a feeling. It's the feeling that I have from it, and if you don't feel, then what are you? So
Exactly. Well, let's talk
let's
about
let's
exactly
go.
that.
So
Now, this is why you started the page.
yeah,
It's why
I
I
run.
run.
Yes. So yeah, my wife fell pregnant in lockdown with our first child. Everything was absolutely brilliant. In the pregnancy, we're both really healthy, young, fit, active. Don't smoke, don't drink too much. It was lockdown. We were both still working. And yeah, she fell pregnant with our daughter. And at 32 weeks, my wife had this kind of premonition where she was like, something just don't feel right, and it's completely unrelated to what was actually wrong. And we went into the hospital, and they did a scan, and they were like, everything's fine. In fact, they listened to it on the Doppler, now everything's fine, come back tomorrow for a routine scan. So I said, Kath, you do that, I'm going into work because we've been told it's okay. Then they did a scan, and they noticed on my daughter's stomach that there was something that was not right, but they didn't know exactly what it was. And then, not to walk you through every single appointment, but every appointment that we went into, it could be this or it could be that. This is worse than that, and it was always the worst of the two.
Yeah.
So at the point at which my daughter Aurora was due to be born, we thought that it was like a bowel perforation or something to do with a bowel that potentially could be operated on, and things would be okay. So we were we went to Leicester Royal Infirmary because they've got a much better paediatric centre there, and she was born, and to look at, absolutely perfect. She had a bit of a swollen tummy, but yeah, there was a bit of a flurry. Nobody really knew what was going on. It turned out it was a tumour. The tumour was kind of blocking her stomach, which was meaning she couldn't feed and stuff like that. So we spent a little bit of time at Leicester. Really, really bizarre feeling to have a child but leave them in the hospital. At that point in time, they didn't have any room for us. So it was kind of like, my wife gave birth at 6 a.m. on the 24th of November. And then by 6 o'clock that evening, we were at home, childless. And it was really hard to get your head around it, because it's like, wait a minute, I need to be there. So we spent a week there, and they couldn't determine what it was. They wanted to transfer somewhere that had an even better paediatric centre, which was Queen's Medical in Nottingham. And there we lived in the hospital, which is, again, it's really bizarre. We lived in the cancer ward, although what Aurora had wasn't cancer. And they did a biopsy, and we went into the results, and we were led by the oncology team, which is obviously the cancer team. And I remember it because me and Kath were like, please don't be cancer, because obviously you think it's the most severe disease, right? You think anything but cancer, and
anything but that.
Yeah, and we went in there, and this she was quite a cold lady, but warm at the same time. She was quite matter of fact, and she said, "I wish it was cancer because I would know how to deal with it." And it turned out she had a thing called an intra-abdominal abdominal pericytoma, which is a vascular tumor, and essentially, if you think of your veins and your arteries as like a motorway through your body, and everything branches off, it was kind of lodged on that. It was a part of that. So yeah, there was some operations and stuff that we did in order to make things comfortable. Well, a plan of action was decided, and what she had was so rare. There was like 20 cases ever of that particular tumor in that particular area, and so there was no written evidence of any kind of theory of what we should be doing to kind of repair it. And it was very, very limited. There was a course of chemo that was suggested that we try, and the key, it's very, I don't know if any of you have ever been around like people that are going through chemo and stuff, but in my head, I don't know what I thought it would be, but it's really like, I wouldn't say underwhelming, because that sounds really strange to say in this scenario, but it's just a bit of fluid that's put into their system. It's their hair doesn't fall out automatically, and they're not in pain when they have it. It's just like an injection.
They administer it.
It's so strange.
Some people can go about their business. Some people were quite poorly.
I didn't know what we expected, but it was just quite like underwhelming, which is a strange thing to say. But because of where the tumor was, it was kind of pressing on her liver as well, which made her liver function bad. Obviously, when you have chemo, that also makes your liver function bad. So things ramped up a little bit. We got transferred to Birmingham Children's on Christmas Day, which was crazy. And it's such a, I mean, I don't like Christmas anyway, from stuff that happened in my childhood. And we haven't really got that close a knit family that it's that special day that it is for my wife, for example. But we landed at Birmingham Children's, and obviously Kath and I had been together, and it was during COVID, and we got there and they're like, okay, only one of you can be here. And we were like, what? What do you mean only one of us? She's a month old. Like, what do you mean only one of us can be here? And obviously later on we found out that the people at Downing Street were having parties and stuff during COVID, which is a sickening
You want
thing.
to be in that together
Yeah,
as a family,
because
as a couple.
you're receiving so much information and data from people in it, and you're kind of in a blur, and then you have to regurgitate that to the person that wasn't there. But I just, and it gets worse because I decided to be the person to stay with her on Christmas Day, and my wife was driving home and she ran out of fuel from Birmingham to Coventry on Christmas Day, and her dad's not very great with technology, and he's trying to find her, and it was just like, oh my God, could this get any worse? Just somebody had
give me a
hacked
break.
into my Nando's account and ordered loads of chicken on my Nando's account. It was like, just everything was kind of like, wow, everything's against us here. But yeah, we transferred there, and then on New Year's Eve, the top consultant from the whole of the UK and one of the best in the world, like it's worth saying that, we were cared for by the best. He came in off of his annual leave and took a look at it because things were getting quite serious. And he just said, if you want me to operate, I will, but know that she'll die. In my hands. And we were like, what the hell? What do you mean? People get new hearts. Like, what do you mean? Just take it out. And he showed us the scans and stuff, and it was like, I think I understood the gravity of it, and Kath was in fight or flight, and she was deciding she wanted to fight. But at that point, we'd kept it quite low key that she was really, really poorly. And I remember because I was like, I don't want to put anything on social media because it just, she's my perfect girl, and I don't want anyone to see her as anything but that. So we went to social media and we said, in desperation, somebody somewhere must know something about this illness that can help. And it was, there was a lot of hope then, and people were getting in touch from Italy and America, and have you tried this and have you tried that, and blah, blah, blah. And the professor who was treating Aurora, who was coincidentally the professor who treated Kath's brother when he had cancer as a kid, I think he allowed us to try some of the things for our own sake to make us feel like we had tried. Now in hindsight, I know that because I don't think there was ever in anybody's vision a positive outcome to what it was. It was too big and she was too small, and there was another way around it. But we had a real flurry of hope, and I think some really, really special moments in that month that followed, where we kind of, because it's a difficult situation to be a parent in because she needs medical care, not parental care. So me and Kath were like, you know what, fuck it, we're gonna show us how to do that. Show us how to do that. We'll do that. We'll give her that medicine. And so we kind of became the nurses. And my wife, and this is really bad, and I don't think anybody should do this, but because they were still saying only one of you, as long as they're trying active treatment, only one of you can be by her bedside, Kath just called the GP and said, if you don't get a pardon for this, I'm going to kill myself, essentially, And she got the pardon, and that enabled us to have the family time.
Of course, you should both be there.
Yeah,
absolutely, you're going to want to be there with your wife, with your partner. Like that is family time. Given where Aurora was at and what was going on, that time's precious, right? So the part, you shouldn't have had to go to them lengths to get a pardon. I'm glad you did. You could spend time together because it should have been a given.
It's insane. Do you know what it is? The consultants and the doctors, although they're great, they're so desensitized to individual scenarios because although Aurora was really poorly, she probably wasn't anywhere near the poorest kid in that hospital. And so they're kind of, there's like a tiered system, I guess, and the doctors have to be able to go home and live a normal life after they've spoken with you, right? So there sometimes there's a coldness to it, and they're essentially saying, if you're treating her as if she's going to be alive, only one of you can be here. If you accept that she's going to die, you can both be here. And we were like, what? And obviously it's such a bizarre
red tape, policy, procedure, also when they're seeing, horrific things like this day in, day out, they are going to become desensitized. Right? So if you were like sensitive to each situation, you're probably not going to be able to do that job, because how would you
No,
go home each
no,
night and try and,
exactly.
you know, function? So you've got to have some barriers up. But
And when you're out of that environment, as I am now, I can definitely look back and respect that that's how they get through it. But in the moment, you're like, this is my fucking child, my everything. Stop talking to me like that.
Yeah.
And I'm a very calm and placid person, and it got to the point that I actually spoke to them like that, and I think they kind of
Well,
took check then.
It's no surprise.
Yeah.
Is it really,
It's emotion.
Yeah.
It's just your child who you love.
Yeah.
You know, really unwell, really poorly. If ever there's a time when someone's gonna snap and be short and have that emotional
Yeah.
outburst, then I think we'd
Yeah.
all accept that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
okay, right? That's
Definitely.
you're allowed to do that, and people would get it.
Yeah. So we tried some of the treatments, and I had always said to Kath, and it's a very bizarre scenario because Kath and I are two completely different people. We have completely different thought processes. I'm quite black and white. I'm quite data driven. She's quite the opposite. And you have to find some commonality and some give and take in that situation. I had accepted the fate, and she had not. And as a result, we never argued once, which is insane. Like I don't know how we managed that, because now we argue when the kids don't sleep. But in that situation, we were just two people that just wanted
Pulled together.
to pull together, and we needed each other, because obviously we had no support or we had lots of support from outside the hospital, but because of COVID, nobody was in there with us.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it got to the point where I said to Kath, like, if she gives us a sign, then as her dad, I'm going to have to make the right decision here. And we had, like I say, a flurry of it might be working, it might not. And I think she hadn't got any worse, but that doesn't mean she was getting better.
Yeah.
And yeah, on the 28th of Jan, her heart rate was just dropping like randomly, and it was terrifying every time it happened. And I said to Kath, like, this is it. Like we're either gonna lose her in this hospital, and no one's gonna have met her, or we need to make the decision to go home. And the palliative care team were amazing. And yeah, we took her home, and it's really, really strange. And I will get emotional now because we're talking about the final moments, and it is fine. I'm just warning you, because it would be quite hard to get out, I think. So we brought her home, and I had this really strong, undescribable bond with my daughter. And I've got children that followed, and I hate to say it because I wish I had the same exact connection with them all, but I guess that connection was special because it was short lived, I guess. So yeah, we came home, and they'd set up. We were in Cass' parents' house because our house was being built at the time and it had been delayed, and they'd set up the house to make sure that she was comforted and stuff like that. And we'd brought the mattress downstairs, and on the 30th of Jan, Kath and I were either side of her, and I wouldn't say we'd slept at all for the 2 months, but imagine we are asleep in some respect. And there was some impulse in me to wake up, and so like about 5 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and I could see that her heart was slowing. So I picked her up and I held her, and I just spent some time with her before I woke Kath up. And I woke up and I said, "This is happening." And I don't know what I thought it would be like or feel like, but it was such a weird moment, because it was beautiful, which is really strange, because because obviously it's not. But I just looked her in the eyes and I said, like, you don't need to fight. I've got you, and you're safe. And then she took one last blink and one last deep breath, and that was it. She had gone, and it was a very, very, very painful moment, and I can't describe it. It haunts me for both how amazing the moment was, because it started a new life for me, not a better life because I wish she was here, but a new life in that, although I'd been close to death before, like that felt like I died because she is my daughter. And yeah, she passed away in my arms at 6 o'clock in the morning on the 31st of Jan, and it was just from that moment on, for a long time, life was just one really dark blur of really, really weird moments. Like, something you won't know is that when your child passes away, you can have them at home for a period of time. We had her at home for 2 days. They bring you in a cold, it's like a cold mattress to preserve the body. And Kath and I hadn't ever walked her in open air. We hadn't used her pushchair, and it's like, to think back now, it's insane. But we put her in a pushchair. We walked down the canal past people. We had her wrapped up. We had a hat on. We were just in zombie mode, like, obviously puffy eyes and just kind of like existing, but with just pure numbness. And we're just walking down the canal, people saying good morning to us. Do you know, it's so strange. And then you're obviously planning the funeral during COVID. 30 people can be there. Do you want to live stream it? Like, do you know, like these kind of things. And hats off to my wife's family, and parts of my family who really stepped up in those moments to support us in what was a really hard time. But then you sat there and you're writing the eulogy of your 2-month-old daughter, and you're robbed of everything forward of the moment that it ended. And yeah, it's like a massive turning point for my life. That kind of is what got me into the fire service. I had a lot of dark months that followed. Again, two completely different people. I wanted to sit and wallow in self-pity. I didn't want to speak to a soul. When Cass's brother and sister used to come round, I wouldn't go downstairs. And yeah, a lot of who I was before that had happened had just died. And yeah, I felt very, very dark. And you know, I started running for charity just to, I don't even know why, to be fair, but I essentially run the distance of that journey from Leicester to Nottingham to Birmingham back home, twice through the month of March. And I experienced that when I was hurting and when I was in pain and I was finding it hard in the runs, I felt closer to her. And sadly, that led me to believe that if I wasn't here, or if I was to kill myself, I would then be with her. And it wasn't necessarily that I didn't want to be here, it's that I wanted to be there, if that makes sense. I didn't want to not be here, and I didn't want to not be with my wife, and I didn't want to not be alive, but I wanted to be with the only thing I ever wanted, which was a child. And yeah, it was a difficult time for the whole family. And you know, hats off to my wife, an amazing woman. She really is. And it's hard because you forget that a lot. We've been blessed with more children, and we've got one of them 6 months old at the minute, one of them 3, and you know, you get lost in the everyday stresses of life and the tiredness. And in moments like this, when you reflect on what it is that you've been through, because we had a great life before that. We'd been to Dubai, we'd been to Ibiza, we'd been on holiday, we'd best friends. There's nothing that I wanted to do without her. And yeah, she pulled me through that, probably more than she knows, to be fair. So I'm very lucky that I had her and the support of her family and my family. And I kind of just thought, what the hell am I going to do with my life now? Like, where the hell does life go? And I just thought, like, what can I do to make her proud, to feel like I'm giving back, and to honour her name? And I thought, you know what, I'm going to be a firefighter. Why not give it a go? And another proud moment is of the 1,000 people in Warwickshire that had went for the recruitment process. I come top, and then I came top of the training. And this was all, I mean, I celebrated Aurora's first birthday whilst I was in training, and I got awarded the top student on that course, which is again a bit of a blur because we were going through the first of her birthday, the first of
and that's the 24th of November, right? So when you shared this story when we reconnected, I put it in my phone, and I didn't know if it was a birthday. I knew it's
Yeah.
a significant date to
Yeah.
him that meant something. So that's been in there since we
Yeah.
met. And I was like, I'm just going to drop him a message on that day, just say,
Yeah.
look, I'm thinking of you. So
Yeah.
24th November. And it's so weird today. So we're at the studio we're at, and I was driving around on this industrial estate, lost, couldn't really find it. And Aurora, in big letters outside. So it's like these, and I know that means something to you. These reminders, celebrating her life.
Yeah.
Like it warms your heart. And there's so many things to that story. The context. There's so much pain and beauty.
Yeah.
There's so many beautiful things the way you describe it, and so many painful experiences. I can't even begin to imagine what you've been through, what Kath's been through.
Yeah.
COVID, all the. I mean, it's hard enough that, but
Yeah.
then all those other things you've shared as part of it, and it's why I run. That's why you've got most respect, because trying to giving hope to bereaved dads.
Yeah.
Why I run, people sharing stories why they run, and that story of why you started running, and your page is. It's just got so much momentum.
So like I said, I did the charity run straight after Aurora passed away, and then it kind of tailed off, and I neglected myself again. And Kath fell pregnant quite quickly with our second daughter, Eris, and you kind of think that the only way you can be a good dad is to just be there. And obviously, on top of that, to know what it's like to want to spend one more moment with your child, you feel a massive amount of guilt for doing anything that doesn't involve them, because you've got in your mind, well, what if the worst happens again, and I just wish that I had that one moment and I decided to do X, Y, Z instead. So every time January would come around, so Eris is born on the 1st of January, Aurora passed away on the 31st of January. So every time the beginning of January comes around, I would get back into running as a form of, like, George, get your head straight, get yourself in a little bit of a better place, you start eating better until the birthday passed, until the anniversary passed, and then I would tail off again. And it happened 3 years in a row. And then at the beginning of this year, I was like, you know what, George, like, this is no good. Like, you need to look after yourself. Like, you are no good to your family if you are not the best version of you. Just keep it up. So I did my usual thing, and then I decided to get an online coach. And I thought, like, this is therapy. Like, this is making me feel better. When I'm out there, I'm talking to her, I'm thinking about her, I'm looking up, I'm seeing butterflies or everything that I need in that moment of difficulty. I'm feeling it. And that's because I'm disassociated from life. There's no stresses. I don't run with my phone. Like, I'm just there.
Present and in the
present.
moment.
And I thought, if this is helping me, and like you said, I don't consider myself to be like the manliest man in that, I like to look a certain way, and I'm quite slim. I'm not like a big burly bearded man, but I've been to war twice. I've been a firefighter. I've cut people out of cars. Like, I've done.
You're the manliest man in my because you've got that balance. So for me, the manly man is someone who's the most things. Gone and just done tours, spent time in the forces. Young age, cut people out of cars. But also the thing that makes you more manly to me and respect you, it knows no bounds. Just coming on here, showing emotion, talking about something incredibly painful in the view that it's going to help other people, give them hope, inspire them that there's a way through and a way past. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to get help and support. And that's why I absolutely wanted you on as the first guest. Like, we've not got any of the guests lined up yet. I was like, look, until Jordan's come on and shared his story, because the way you talk about it, it just, I don't know, it means something to me. My soul, it lifts me up. And I know your page, it's why I run, is lifting up so many other people.
And that's it, right? I mean, obviously, people assume that you are doing well because that's how you present, right? And I decided that if it takes me being vulnerable and me being honest to be the person that breaks that and putting myself, I remember messaging you about starting the page, and it's like, I don't want to be an Instagrammer, and I don't want my life on Instagram. But if that is the price of helping men feel like they can go and speak to their wife or their friend or message me or go for a run or do anything to better themselves and feel themselves, then that is what I have to do. I have a responsibility to do that, because I've been given the platform, and I've been guided to it from Aurora. It's quite funny, actually. I was in the same way that is really strange about seeing her name on the sign around the corner. I think the moment when I pulled the trigger on it, on starting the page, and I was like, just get over it. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning. My son Ace was up because he's always awake. And I was watching Prison Break randomly again. I remember watching it I think I watched it when I was in Afghan actually. And I'd lost places and I didn't know where I was, so I started again. And at the moment I was like, do I, don't I? Aurora County is in
prison.
And it come up and I was like, I've got to do it. That's the guide. And although it's quite, you know, I've got a very busy life. I have a full-time job. I train. I've got kids. I've got a wife. I've got friends. I've got all of these things. It just felt like the time was right.
Yeah.
And it had a really, really, really good uptake straight away. People messaging me like, I've gone out for a run and I feel better. And I'm like, that is like, even if there was just one follower and they were messaging me saying that, then I'm like, that is all it's about. Yeah, that's enough. Yeah. But it's turned out that a lot of people are feeling that way, and and surprisingly, a lot of people that I would not expect to feel that way messaging me saying I've been on antidepressants, and it's like, guys, like, why don't we know? Why don't I know that about you? Yeah, like, why don't? Yeah, and that's why this is so special with you guys. It's like you just talk about it between each other. Like, well, why doesn't everyone hear this and feel like they can then talk to their friends about it?
It encourages more men to open up and talk and share. You found that, haven't you? Since you started this, people are putting you aside and going, "Oh, can I have a chat?"
Yeah.
People that would never have expected to be going through struggles.
Yeah.
And they've just said, look, I've watched episode on anxiety or whatever, and they're like, yeah, I've been really, really struggling with this as well. So, I mean, I guess where you go through some pain as you have, you want to put that into something positive, like a purpose.
Absolutely.
And you feel like a responsibility as well, that, you don't want people to go through the same thing and feel alone in going through the same thing. So, yeah, I've not heard your story before, but thank you so much for sharing that. And I just think it's absolutely inspiring with what you're doing now with your page.
It is, isn't it? It's just, I mean, this is why, it's almost like I was worried about. I shared on a voice note earlier. I said, you know what? This is the one I'm worried about because it matters to me. It means something. I want to do you right. Share this, and I shared little bits with you, didn't I?
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? This is private. I want you to hear it from Jordan. I don't feel like sharing it on his behalf. So I'll give you enough to know, well, why we're getting Jordan on, like what's he about, but not anything like you've just, bravely, I want to use that word, he's brave, come on and shared and talked about and showed emotion, but in the view that we've got to help each other out,
100%,
lift each other up.
100%.
Can't ever pretend to go, say I've been through anything like either of you have, either of us here, but I want to be there. I want to support. I want to lift you up. I want to, you want to have a swear. You want to have a cry. You want to just sit in the darkness together. Why do we keep that locked in our own heads as men? And it takes people like yourself who are willing to stand up and go, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna share my soul, share my pain, and if it helps one person, then it's well.
What's important about it as well is obviously you shared that I attended the course that you did for my work lot, and I think if you don't know the symptoms of what these things are, because do you remember? I can't remember if I told you or not, but I'd left and I was really, really upset, and I was like, oh my God, like I'm actually feeling a lot of that.
Yeah.
But it just felt like feelings until you understand what they're related to. It's like, maybe I'm a little bit depressed, and I went down that avenue. I'm like, I don't think it's quite that, and it's like I'm a little bit anxious, and you have an element of all of that, but and hopefully now when people are watching this day and you're explaining what anxiety feels like and what it does and how it manifests, people can then say, I have a bit of that. Where do I now go to try and improve it?
Recognizing it, isn't it? Like knowing what it might be and applying something that could help in it. So obviously it's different for everyone, but there's so many tools out there, isn't there?
That's it. Awareness, a proactive rather than a reactive approach. And we know the struggle in men's mental health is where you like to just be reactive and generally don't have the awareness to go, I'm feeling a little bit of some of that. Yeah. Well, we'll draw this episode to a close, but I just want to say thank you so much, mate.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you coming on. We're going to leave lots of links in the chat to supports available if anything we've talked about today has affected anyone listening, and also to your page, It's Why I Run. Give that an ad, a like, a subscribe, and a follow. And a follow. But from the bottom of my heart, mate.
Thank you.
Really
No,
great
thank you
to
for
have
having
you
me.
on.
It's great to meet you, and I'm honoured to be part of this, and hopefully this episode, along with the ones that follow, will help men. I'm sure it will. We just need to get it out there so people can see it.
Thank you. That's
Cheers,
the
brother.
goal.
Can I just have one plug?
Of course you can.
Okay.
Absolutely, mate. You plug
Go for it.
away.
So
You can have as many plugs as you want.
thank you. As we mentioned, Aurora's birthday is on the 24th of November, which is a week or so from now. To mark the anniversary of her 5th passing next year, and as a birthday present to her, I'm undertaking a physical challenge and putting myself in a really difficult spot in order to raise money for the 3 hospitals in which she was cared for, a local charity called Lily May Foundation, and a local charity called Hallie's Hideaway, which help bereaved families. And what I'm doing is I'm going to run the entire route that she travelled in her life. So I'm going to start at Leicester. I'm going to run the route to Nottingham Queen's Medical, and then I'm going to run to Birmingham Children's, and then I'm going to run to Bedworth, where her memorial tree is. And I'm going to do it in 24 hours. It's 108 miles.
Wow.
And I'm announcing it on her birthday, which is the 24th. So, yeah.
100%. We'll share the Just Giving pages in the link of the episode.
And your Instagram page as well.
Instagram page as well.
There,
I'd like to say I'd run that with you, but I don't think I can keep up with you in the car. So I'll just like.
Well, I think Luke said that he's going to come and do a little stint with it. People are welcome to meet me at places.
A bit with you.
Yeah.
So we'll have to do a little bit with you.
Do as much as you feel.
We're doing it.
Right,
Yeah.
we're in. Sign me up. I'm going to do maybe.
Come for the glory at the end, because it's
100
going to be running through the night. So
Just got to remember how to run again.
Yeah. You can come on a bike. You don't have to run, is there? You can come on a bike.
As long as we can do whatever distance.
Yeah, of course you can.
We're in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do mean it. It's not just for show. It's not just for the channel. None of this is for show.
No, not
It's
at
to
all.
help people. We will be there.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. We
Awesome.
can have a little chat on it, maybe for your show on your page and stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Anybody's welcome to join. Obviously, information will follow as a result, but that's what's happening. And yeah, I'm not looking forward to it, but I am at the same time. It's going to be like an emotional pilgrimage. And
It's a big thing to do, and you should be so proud.
Should be proud.
get it done.
Awesome.